Hello, everyone, and welcome to An Hour with Dave, a straight shooting talk show that doesn't hold anything back. You either love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, doesn't matter, but it's the show you want to watch. An Hour with Dave. Whenever I come up with places where they're hiring, and I'm going to tell you something. People are saying things are locked down, there's no jobs, etc., etc. I'm starting to see jobs. All through this pandemic, there was also places that were hiring. Yeah, it affected a lot of small businesses. Yes, that's correct. But you know what? We need to start moving forward because there's too much confusion from the CDC and the mayor and the governor. And well, we should have known there were going to be confusion. Listen, who's running this city? How do you not expect confusion? You know, all the way from the top. You got Fauci, figuring out what he's going to say. But, let's move on with all that because we all know that's a joke what's happening. Wawa is having a job fair April 3rd from 10 to 2 at three Wawa locations. One is on 7001 Roosevelt Boulevard, 6701 Ridge Avenue, and 10,900 Bustleton Avenue. I'm going to tell you this again. Wawa is having a job fair. Again, at three locations, 7001 Roosevelt Boulevard, 6701 Ridge Avenue, and 10,901 Bustleton Avenue. Okay, they're going to be hiring for lots of positions at 14 different Wawa locations. Starting salaries are between $11 and $13. Paid time off, $75 vacation or vaccine bonus. Vaccine bonus, is that? Am I reading that right? Vaccine bonus. Woo! Well, I got the measles shots. I got the measles shots when I was a baby. Does that count? Oh, no, I guess not. Everybody's shaking their head. $125. 90-day bonus, medical benefits, free food and drinks. Hey, I think they got a leg up right there just on McDonald's. A 401k, free stock and free stock. Wow. I might go there. Just kidding. Don't get upset. Okay. Flexible hours, etc. Full and part-time. That's not bad. It's Wawa again. Maybe in the next two segments we'll put it up again so people can catch it if you didn't catch it. Okay. So now I want to talk about the next thing that's coming up that they're asking me about is, by the way, any businesses out there that you're going to be hiring or need to put it out there, I will be more than glad to put it out on my radio show for free. As long as you hire people from the community. That's not a bad deal. I put it out there for you so you can get interviews and people coming in to try to get these jobs filled. Okay? How much cheaper can you get than just let me know when you're hiring? Duh. Okay, IDs. Here we go again. We had a roundabout in Congress and passing rules and changing laws and doing all the things that your congressmen and your senators do because it doesn't affect them. But they're manipulating voting again. So, here's my thing. This is a pack of cigarettes. How many different packs of cigarettes there are out there, I don't know. I don't venture to guess. I don't smoke anymore. It's been a while, thank God. But this is a pack of cigarettes. Supposedly, you need ID to buy this. If you go into a Wawa, they ask you for ID before they give you the pack of cigarettes. You're supposed to have ID to buy a pack of cigarettes that, according to the Surgeon General, gives you cancer. This is a can of beer. You buy at a beer distributor or bar. And guess what? Go to beer distributor, you need ID to buy beer. Okay? You're 12 years old, you can't go in and you can't buy beer. If you were smart like I was when I was a teenager, then I wasn't 21, you had a local bum. Okay? When we lost, so this is a beer. You need ID for that. This is a gallon of wine. Now, believe it or not, in order to, hey, who emptied this gallon of wine, guys? I need breathalyzers and urines from all the staff because this thing is empty. Okay? This is a gallon of wine. In order to go to the liquor store, you need ID to get liquor. Now, all of this said and done, okay? You do not need ID. You go to City Hall to go see a congressman, to go pay, look in the bills, to apply for marriage certificate. Before you go into City Hall, you need, guess what? ID. Isn't that something? Go to City Hall, you need ID to go in. Isn't that something? To get to your congressman, because they want to be protected, you need ID. To get to your city council people, have to have ID. To go into Congress or Senate places, you have to have ID. Oh my God. So, with that said, how come these super clowns are telling you that to get a person in the highest seat in America, and we don't know who's in charge of the highest seat right now, whether it's Biden or Harris or Schumer or Pelosi. We don't know who's running it, really, to be honest with you. We know it ain't Biden. But in order to vote for the president of the United States, the most powerful seat that we have, with military and growth of the country and working with allies across the world, you don't need ID. I don't know about you guys, but I think Ray Charles could see there's something wrong with that. You don't need ID to pick who's going to lead you into maybe a war, who's going to lead you in crisis, who's going to make sure that we don't sell everything in its mother to China, who's going to make sure that we can be, independent from oil and gas on our own. Oh, damn, I forgot. We lost that one too. I don't know. Who's going to be the president to make sure that all our best interest on who produces medicine is not overseas? Make sure as a leader that we can make an antibiotic. Damn it, we don't do that either anymore, do we? That's China. Okay. All right. Well, China does that. Well, let's make sure, right, that we produce all of ourselves and make us independent. No, in the last 60 days, Biden ended that too. He closed the pipeline and, oh God. Listen, we need to have ID for people to vote. You're going to keep getting people coming over the border. You're going to get people here who are not eligible to vote, and they're going to vote because they're putting in a system where it doesn't matter. You could have voted here today and go into Jersey and vote, and go into Delaware and vote, and go into Baltimore and vote, and then go into Washington and vote, and then I can keep going up the coast. What's to stop you from voting in all these states? If there's no ID, they could say it's the first time you're voting, you ask for an ID. If it's being written in, if you're doing it via mail, who's checking? What's going on? It is the biggest and worst thing. You know what you're going to wind up with? You're going to wind up with states having more people vote than that are registered in the state. Oh, shit. That's already happened. It happened in the last election. Or you're going to have dead people vote. Well, that happened too because here, the great Joe Frazier, I loved him, God rest his soul, voted in the last election. I know he was a bad cat, but he got that. He popped up and voted. It's dangerous when you're allowing everything that's happening to happen and you're not paying attention. You're worried about that stimulus bill for $1,400 getting to you, and they're tearing you a brand new you know what behind your back. Because let me ask you something. Why are we spending billions of dollars to bail out teachers' unions for misusing their funds and their union funds? Why are we bailing them out? Why are we bailing out big cities like Philadelphia, New York? Because they mismanaged. Hello, Mayor, can you hear me? Governor, can you hear me? You mismanaged. You and all your colleagues for the last 50 years mismanaged the retirement funds for the city workers. And now it has nothing the hell to do with pandemic, but we are bailing them out. It has nothing to do with the pandemic. The mismanagement has been here for over 50 years. But they're suckering you and giving you $1,400 so you can run and, I don't know, get a cell phone, buy a flat screen TV from China. I don't know. Some of you actually may use it to pay bills and get food and for stuff that it's intended. But we're paying to mismanage. They mismanaged it and they added it to your bill. They had $1 billion that they have not spent it from the last stimulus monies that they sent out. So technically, that $1,400 that they sent everybody in America, they already had the money enough to pay it without passing this bill. We got 2 minutes to go, and I want you to ponder on that for a minute. They had $1 trillion in the bank from the previous stimulus check, enough to put out everybody's $1,400. And they did not have to put all this money in there and put it out and made you pay for everybody's retirement that they mismanaged. Think about that before we come back, and we're going to talk about that a little more. I call it the sucker quarter of this hour. Okay? See you in 30 minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to An Hour with Dave, a straight shooting talk show that doesn't hold anything back. You either love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, doesn't matter, but it's the show you want to watch. 1 Hour with Dave. Yeah, you can run and laugh and go to the bathroom or whatever it is you need to do. But we were hot on the topic about, this is what I call the sucker segment of my hour, where they're literally telling you that they passed this $2 trillion stimulus bill, and you're only getting, out of that stimulus bill, you're only getting less than 10% is going to you. Okay? So you got to think about this. There was $1 trillion that they have not spent before. And So the money was there to actually give everybody the $1,400 and still would have had money left over. And they suckered you into a $2 trillion bill. And I'm gonna tell you something. Don't blame it on Democrats. Don't blame it on. You blame it on everybody up there because they're all like that. Okay. Um, so we hit the jobs. We know that they hit you with IDs. Um, and remember, like I said, I showed you here a pack of cigarettes. You need ID to buy, right? A beer, you need ID to buy. Liquor, you need ID to buy. But you don't need ID to vote for who's in office in the most powerful seat. That's a joke. Okay? All right. So we're going a little bit more into stimulus checks now. This week you're actually supposed to be getting the rest of these stimulus checks for $1,400. Uh, listen, fellas, I need you to really think about what you're spending it on. You got a lot of people going on the internet. They took their $1,400 and one couple took their monies and went to Las Vegas. One person actually showed that they got the $1,400 and spent $700 on lottery tickets. Yeah, come on, man. It's your $1,400, but can't you think a little bit better about what's happening out here? You know, at that $1,400, somewhere on the line, somebody has to pay for it. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if going to spend $600 on lottery tickets is the smartest idea. Especially if you spend $600 on lottery tickets and lucky if you got $100 back. That's ugly. Um, but I'm being waved at. Do I have something somebody wanted to ask me? Okay, say that again. What do I think about what?
Okay. Cold Black Fire. That's the name of the person that wrote it. Said, "What do you think about people who says background voters identification laws are a part of the ongoing strategies to roll back
Voters' rights?
voters' rights?"
Well, I got someone who sent in a question about voters' rights, and I guess they think that background and IDs are not good because somehow we're going backwards in asking people for IDs to vote. Again, I just laid out a whole bunch of items that you needed IDs to buy, um, and you can't get it without ID. As far as you voting, listen, it's not complicated. Okay, you're voting for the most powerful seat in the nation, and the powerful seat that takes us, that controls our young men and women that are putting their life on the line. These young men and women are not playing baseball and basketball. They're coming back in coffins. They're coming back with psychological problems. They're coming back with one less leg, a less arm, or both. Okay, they come back and then they're mistreated. They come back and can't get help and treatment. They wind up homeless. So before we send any of our children anywhere, first of all, let's give them the respect they need, give them the support they need, and vote in properly by the rest of America that's going to vote thinking about them also. We have people out there that are hurting because of the consequences of not having proper ID when you vote. You can manipulate voting when you don't have to prove who you are. You do so many mail-ins, you're going to leave it open for criminal activity to happen, and it's already happened. Did it happen in a large number to cause this election to go south? I can't answer that. But I can tell you that in so many states, there's been issues. And if we expected to, when you got dead people voting because nobody's checking ID, that's a problem. Listen, how come we spent so much money on the damn school unions, on the governments that have screwed up the city workers' pension? We got stimulus money in the billions going to them, and you telling me that we had $1 trillion that we didn't spend on a prior stimulus check, and we couldn't put in the stimulus check money for ID? Are you serious? No one ever pictured that. Well, maybe this stimulus check, we could put in enough money for people to go get one-time voter ID. Same way that we do in the motor vehicles. Go to motor vehicles, you have your driver's license, you have your non-driver's license, and guess what? Here's your voter ID license. And we paid for it. Why couldn't that go on the stimulus bill? It's a lot cheaper than bailing out the damn union. It's a lot better than making the governors look good, the mayors look good, all the city councils between here and Chicago, New York, Baltimore, Washington. You want me to go on? Every one of them that screwed up their city budgets. We're paying for it. I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay because you screwed up for the last 50 years. Why didn't the stimulus bill have that money in it? We had $1 trillion. Everyone could have gotten their $1,400. We still had enough money left over to get everybody voters ID out of that same $1 trillion without passing another budget for $2 trillion. Don't ask me about voters' rights. You're in this country, you have a driver's license, that's an ID. You have a non-driver's license, that's an ID. You didn't have either one, to go get a voter's license. Let's pay for it. Trust me, it ain't going to cost us $2 trillion. This bill was a joke. And if you're too stupid to see that, well, then the subject's over. Because it's going to be hard for you to understand it. Voter ID is a must. It isn't taking away nothing from nobody. It's not denying you the right to vote. They're playing with your dumb ass if that's what you think. That they're holding you back from voting. You're supposed to have some kind of ID. If that person that you're talking about doesn't have ID but smokes, should not have been able to go buy a pack of cigarettes. If that person that you're talking about that shouldn't be held back from voting because they don't have an ID and they drink, should not have been drinking. How do we know who they are? Come on, that point is really, think about it. Now they're letting the people at the border, we got a crisis at the border. This is a serious crisis. These children, come on, man. We need to be humane. We need to understand what's going on here. Guys, I keep telling you that none of you deserve to be in this country. None of us. Okay? Thank God I was born here. I love the United States of America. I love it. Wouldn't give it up for anybody. Let me correct myself. I'd give it up for God. but ain't nowhere on earth I would give it up. Well, because this is the best place you can be. Okay? This is the best place you can be. You know, you still get a choice. You still get a choice to buy that pack of cigarettes, smoke it, get cancer, and stick me with the bill. You still have a choice to keep drinking every day, not socially, not have a nice, decent glass of wine with your friends, have dinner, sit on the beach. You know, you want to drink every day to death, cause yourself to have liver problems, put yourself in the hospital, and slap me with the bill. It's okay. Go do it in Russia. How about China? Maybe Cuba. Man, you guys ain't getting it. I hope I answered whoever it is that asked that question. Do you have anything else? Pastor Phil. He asked the question? Or he tried to trick me? He tried to trick me on that one. That's okay. Pastor Phil is a good man, and let me tell you, you guys want to know a decent person if you're ever in Philadelphia or you are in Philadelphia? Pastor Phil is the ward leader in the 42nd ward. He's also a pastor of the church, and I'm not going to try to mention the name of the church because I mess it up on him all the time. But he's also we share an office on 5220 Masher Street. Beautiful, loving, caring individual. Okay, and I love the idea of saying I know him as a brother, as a Christian brother, as a pastor, and as a friend. He's a beautiful person. But I'm not going to give him any more props. Go ahead. Any other questions? Okay.
So we have Dr. Phil again. Voters ID includes some people's lack photo ID. However, we see how not checking IDs results in the past election.
Yeah, we know that in the past election, it was a super joke. He's absolutely right. There were times when they were not asking any ID. I mean, I know people who was turned away from the doorway because they were at a different party, just trying to drop off their ballots. Guys, we cannot let groups, a particular party, doesn't matter what party it is. If you allow a party to dictate to you when, how you're going to vote, what it takes for you to vote completely, I'm going to tell you what you got. You got leaders that we should start changing or nicknaming to Fidel Castro, Hitler, changing our flags, because you're giving in to a communist mentality. You're giving into that, and you're giving into a thought where you are too stupid to think for yourself. We got 1 minute left. When we come back, we'll try to answer some more of these questions, and if not, try to move on to the next segment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to An Hour with Dave, a straight shooting talk show that doesn't hold anything back. You either love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, doesn't matter, but it's the show you want to watch. 1 Hour with Dave. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to An Hour with Dave. And I know that we're kind of moving back and forth here, but, thank God for my engineer / producer, because I kind of see him getting a little gray, and I wonder if that's getting to be a lot of me. But we'll see if we can get him a hair dye on the next stimulus check. But the question was brought up about the voter ID, and I believe that voter ID should be a must. Should be a must. Period. Um, and I think that we need to look at how we got things organized with this mail-in ballot. There's too many opportunities for criminal activity to happen. There needs to be strong and hard rules when it comes to election. Maybe one day is too short. Maybe we need to look at saying elections are going to be held 3 days out of the week. Maybe elections are going to be held, I don't know, instead of Tuesday, maybe it's going to go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So people who do have to work can start having their votes in on Sunday. But we cannot have buck wild write in ballots because we saw the chaos that was caused with that, and cheating, the opportunity to cheat was brought up for that because you know um, it's just too much. Remember, in this city alone, Joe Frazier voted. Maybe some of you guys don't even know who Joe Frazier is. Look it up. Look it up. How about a state where more votes came in than they have registered voters? And then the counties and the judges and the Supreme Courts for the states and the judges for the states turn around and tell you, well, even if we deduct these votes, it doesn't have enough to overturn. Well, you don't know. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what you found illegal. What about the rest of it? How deep does it go? We don't know. So they kind of ignored it, and by ignoring it, they ignored their own laws. By ignoring it, they allowed criminality to take hold of election. By allowing it, they allowed whatever party is doing it in whatever states. It could have been the Republicans in Ohio, or it could have been the Democrats in Philadelphia, and the Democrats in New York, and the Republicans in Virginia. Don't know. But the reality is, if it happened, it's a problem. If it happened, we need to stop it, not open it up for more problems. And that's what I think happened with the voting. Is there anything else you want me to address, sir?
Yes. So we have coming from Dorothy. We have nothing if not voters' integrity. We've seen this in the past few months. Only legal U.S. citizens age 18 and up should be voting.
Dorothy says we have nothing but integrity. Okay. Dorothy, I'm trying to understand what she's saying. Yes, I guess I can say that we should have voter integrity. The problem is that we've seen so much illegal activity happened, even prior to an election. I say this because I ran for Congress myself. And I know right off bat all the people that tried to vote for me and were told that they couldn't vote for me, even in the general, because they weren't registered as the same party. So it happened to me. Um, and I've seen other people turned away. I've seen people who, and that's off because they come to the front and say they need help, whether it be language, whether it be a handicap, whether it be people who can't read, they're illiterate, okay, and then they go into these booths with the person that they're trusting because it's supposed to be somebody of authority helping them, but the person who goes into the booth to help them as an authority he or she has a political agenda. And if he or she goes in there having a political agenda, they're not helping you. They're helping guide you towards their political agenda, towards their person they're trying to push. If I went in and I voted for Trump, and now I'm working at a voting place, and everybody that comes in who I know is illiterate says, I want to vote for, oh God, I want to vote for Biden. But when I know they're illiterate, they don't know, yep, and I have them pushing Trump's name because I had a political agenda. I didn't do that, by the way, because I didn't work the booths, but I'm just trying to get you to understand. You can't be working a political poll, a political person. Nobody can't be in that place if they have their own political ambition and agenda going. Anybody working the polls is supposed to be a neutral thought. And the problem is that's not happening at polling places. And then people who don't know who to vote for, they're just telling them to push the button. So the integrity of voting has been breaking down for a while to the point of what happened in the last election. There's a lot of decent people out there. But maybe what we need to start looking at is if you're working the polls, buddy, and he or she went in with an agenda that you're supposed to be neutral, making sure everybody's fair, no matter what, and you are guiding people a certain way. If you're the interpreter and we catch that you're guiding people a certain way, maybe there should be a very serious issue going on. Like maybe, I don't know, $100,000 fine, 2 years imprisonment, no longer allowed to work anything to do with elections, not even getting signatures. Because then they risk the chance of getting busted. And maybe then we'll have honest people working. So I just telling you that I fear if we keep on the path that we're on now, by the next presidential election, it's going to be almost a civil war out here because you're destroying it. The party that's out here right now trying to change these laws are going to create friction like there's no tomorrow. So you might wind up with a civil war, and you definitely will wind up with illegal activities across the country when it comes to voting. Anything else?
Deborah also mentioned we have a plan at the borders. Shift the demographic, change the foundation which America was built, and bring this country to its knees. Third world. That is a crisis, and that is equality.
Who? Okay. The question that's being asked to me is, do we have a plan for the border, or do I have a plan for the border? Okay. Well, the border is an issue because um, the people at the border are under the impression that when they get here, they're automatically going to come across and be able to be America. I mean, people coming across that border for the most part are people who are eluding and trying to get away from tyranny. People who are running away from a dictatorship. People who may be looking to actually be free if they're young girls out of the country before they wind up being raped by where they live in. I mean, some countries are brutal. Um, yeah, and en route to come here, whether whether it be Mexico, San Salvador, or Honduras, en route coming here, they're passing 2 and 3 states where a lot of criminal activity is going on, where drugs are being used, where kids are being raped and women are being raped and people being kidnapped and just disappearing before they even get to the Mexican border. That's a problem. That's a real serious problem. Because I tell you, I got I got my godchildren, I got my daughters, my grandchildren, nieces and nephews, and even newborns. And I got a very special couple girls that I love. Um, and I know that I myself would sacrifice anything I can. And if I thought that anybody did any harm to them, I, I hope to God that God be with me because I'll lose it. But I know that from listening to interviews and people who have come over here who are being abused, who are being treated, who are under the thumbs of MS-13, who are under the thumbs of drug cartels. Okay, um, they're scared. They have nowhere to turn, and we as a nation have to somehow make this better. But we as a nation need to have them in other countries pay a price too. You know, and we need to talk to some of these governments. Seriously, talk to them. What's happening? You know. Well, we're gonna go into another break, and when I come back, we'll talk about this a little more. Hello, everyone, and welcome to An Hour with Dave, a straight shooting talk show that doesn't hold anything back. You either love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, doesn't matter, but it's the show you want to watch. 1 Hour with Dave. Welcome back, everybody. I think this is the last 15 minutes we have. And I'm sorry that we keep going back and forth because we actually have more people asking questions and sending in questions. And I love the audience for doing that because that means that they're listening. And I have to apologize to the audience that is listening to this after because it's retaped again and it's free and you can go on the internet and catch it, but you're not catching it live. I'm going to be talking to the engineer slash producer and see if there's any way that they could send in questions and somehow we can try to answer them later on. I don't know. It's rough because we understand the show is from 2 to 3, and a lot of people are working. But hey, stay working, okay? Don't do that. Don't mess that up. Keep watching the show after 5, after 6 when you come home. Just don't stop for your job, unless you're the owner and the boss. Then you can watch it and everybody else watch it too. Okay. Um, where were we at? We had another question out there? Okay. We were asked once again about the border. Um, it's a problem. It's a big problem because on the border right now, let's face it, I don't care how they want to call it, what they want to call it, it's a crisis. Okay? They are more, everybody knows now that they are more unaccompanied children, even teenagers, than we were led on to believe. They opened up a stadium, and in less than 3 hours, the stadium was full already to capacity with these homeless, unaccompanied children. This is not even talking about the families. I'm talking about unaccompanied children. To the point that It's not even catch and release. It's like if they catch them, they try to process whatever they can and fingerprints, whatever, and they're just letting them go. There's nowhere to put them. It's a crisis. I don't care who you. I don't care if you're Puerto Rican, you're black, you're white, you're working on this program, you're working on the borders. Dude, stop defunding the police. Start doing what you need to do. Get out there. It's a crisis. Okay? Maybe declare a catastrophe or whatever they have to declare on all the borders along the Texas border, all the little townships, all the states, all the cities. You know what? You governors and your mayors, declare a disaster. Force the federal government to come in and give you the resources you need. I don't care what party you're with. If the kids are being raped and women are being raped and people are dying and people are in a place where it was supposed to only hold 1,200, but you're at 3,000, declare a state of emergency. Put it out there. Send it to me. I'll put it out there. And I'll tell the governors and the mayors and the Congress people and your senators and your vice president and your president. I'll tell them what to kiss. I don't have a problem with it. If you're scared to do it, tell me where you're at, what your state is. I won't say you sent it to me. On the next radio show, I will put the numbers out and I'll call out every agency and every government and every congressman and every senator all the way up to Sleepy Joe. Not a problem. Because I don't really care whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. I would make sure that I'll put you out there. I don't care. I don't care if you're Mitt Romney. I don't care what party you're with. I don't care. Listen, man, this is a crisis. And the more we let this go on, and the more we grow it, and the more we release to the public, the more we have a problem with voters' ID, the more we have a problem. Because you better think about this. If you're an American here, born here, and you've been raised here, and you've been 4 or 5 generations here, if every one of them people being registered, once they come here, legally released and registered and given asylum, if every one of them, regardless of it's this year or if it was the Trump era or if it was the Bush era or if it was the Biden era, if every one of them people and the so-called 11 million that are here are registered automatically Democrat, then the Democratic Party ain't looking out for you. Because there goes your jobs. There go your homes. If they're registering all of them to the Democratic Party, you better start asking why. You better start asking why. Do they have another plan on top of what they're telling you? Don't sleep on this. Don't sleep because you're asking yourself for your number. Go. We have a question coming in.
Pastor Phil asked, COVID-19 has left Pennsylvania in a difficult financial situation. Where do you see the city going in the next 6 months?
Less? Did he say less?
Where do you see the city going in the next 6 months?
But Pennsylvania has less people on difficulties with the COVID-19? Less. Has left. Oh, okay. Now I understand the question. The question is that COVID-19 has left Pennsylvania and I guess Philadelphia, which part Pennsylvania have left more individuals in financial difficulty. Where do I see it in 6 months? I see it in 6 months almost in the same place they are now, if not worse. And here's why. Florida never followed the rules. And Florida's death rate, Florida's everything you compare back and forth, Florida was never worse off than what Philadelphia was. Do I think as many people needed to die? Man, I don't want to be a judge on that. I'm not God. I don't want to play God. Do I think that the governor and the mayor and city council people, did they play a game? Yeah, they played a game. Are they playing a game? Yes, they're playing a game. And when you got the city unions and all the money that they're trying to get their hands on and all the stuff that they're doing, yeah, they're playing a game. And I've tried to explain this to you over and over again. They're playing a game. Mayor Kenny knows it. Governor Wolf knows it. City council knows it. Certain people, the pandemic didn't affect at all. Let me ask you something. Do you know any governor, by any chance, that the pandemic stopped their money? You know any congressmen, any senators, any of their staff, any of them? 2 minutes left, people. I'm asking you, does anybody know anybody who was in a state rep, a senator, a congressman, a city council, a mayor? Did any of them get affected through the pandemic? No, not one. But your barbershops closed down, your restaurants closed down. Look at what happened in Florida. They didn't, and they flourished. So I see it in the same place because there's jobs open out there every day. I see them out there when I'm driving around. They're lying to you. Get your act together. Don't take it anymore. Okay, fellas, I have to go because it's my time's up. I love you. I thank you for listening to my show. Catch me next Monday. Hello, everyone, and welcome to An Hour with Dave, a straight shooting talk show that doesn't hold anything back. You either love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, doesn't matter, but it's the show you want to watch. 1 Hour with Dave.